Good evening, it's Monday night, so that can only mean one thing. It's the NTV Soccer Night Show, the ILFL Soccer Night Show on NTV indeed. I'm here with Shaquille and Rashid. We're going to go through everything that happened yesterday, all the ILFL fixtures in Prem First and Second Division. And we're going to start again, as we did last week, with the First Division. Why do we keep going back there? Because it's interesting to see who are Premier Division potentials and who are going to be Second Division players next season. And who's messing around in the middle? There are two teams who are fighting around at the top of the table. The Crusaders, who have had a storming season so far, unbeaten, top of the table, against a Seoul Youth side, fresh into the league, only one defeat, and since that defeat, they have been hot on the heels of the table-topping Crusaders. They met yesterday, the wind came in and blew something away, but whose favour did it blow in? Here are the highlights of the game between Crusaders and Seoul Youth. I'm hearing right now in my ear, we don't have it. We'll come back to that. You know what we do have, though? We have Rashid Ali back in the studio. Good evening, Rash.
Evening, Dave.
How you doing, sir? Before we talk about the First Division, before we talk about everything else, there's a lot going on. You were here, but not here when you saw the cup draws going on and everything. Lots of things happening. We've got the Interleague Champions Cup coming up this weekend.
That's right, yeah.
16 teams taking part from 4 different leagues.
That's correct, yes.
I had lots of people's views. We had Shaquille's view. We had Jermaine's view. We've had quite a few people's views in the last couple of weeks. But we've not had yours. So we know that London Meteors are turning up to play MK Galacticos, a rerun of the final last year. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's proven in the last 2 years, especially, the Hackney Leighton teams seem to be stronger in comparison to ILFL and Musical League. Hopefully, as the teams are realising the challenge, I hope, obviously being a bit biased, we hope that ILFL provide a bit more challenge this year to the teams with the Music League and Hackney Leighton League. Yes, I think London Meteors will be favourites because they've won it twice in a row. They are one of the strongest sides. I've seen them in action in the last 2 years. They're strong, they're physical, they're technically gifted, and they are rightly so favourite. But I think our teams, ILFL, will, because it's a prestigious tournament, it's the tournament that everyone wants to win. It's the champions of the champions. I think they'll, they'll give extra, hopefully they'll give extra 20%, 30% from what they normally do. And hopefully, like so Stepney, West End, I hope they can go further and prove a point that we are going to meet up with standards with other leagues.
Okay, we're going to hear some more from Rash. You've heard his Champions Cup predictions there, or predictions, he sat on the fence really, but he used the word there, challenge. The Challenge Cup itself is taking part this weekend as well, and we're going to talk more about that in the second and third segments of the show. But I'm hearing that the clip is ready for you. So now let me say no more and let you watch Seoul Youth versus Crusaders. Here it is. And there it was, on what was, trust me, it was a really windy day. So credit and well done to both teams for playing football and trying to play football at the end of the day. But what happened? Crusaders beat Seoul Youth by 5-2, and it was a lot easier, maybe, arguably, for Crusaders yesterday than it was for them the week before. Shaquille, you were over there with me. We were both watching the game. I don't know if it's not the first time you've seen Crusaders this season, but now that they've come almost halfway through the season, do they still look like the dominant team that you saw in the first 2-3 games of the season? Yeah,
I still haven't changed my mind. Yesterday and the last week, they had few big players missing, and they still had yesterday as well. And they got a couple of players missing throughout the season now. But then we thought if they got big players missing, they might struggle. And I think they had a little blip where they struggled, but then they still got results out of it. So I don't think anyone else can beat Crusaders unless they're really, really struggling.
And what about Seoul Youth? Not a good showing from them. They won't be happy with that at all.
No, look, first off, they should have scored a couple of goals while the win was against them. And I think that was the big miss for them yesterday. But it was a good game yesterday. Both teams played football on the floor. There wasn't hardly any long balls going on, and it was a good battle.
Yeah, it was indeed. In fact, there were two results that were concluded in the first division yesterday. Here are those results for you now on the screen. As you can see, Crusaders in fact beat Seoul Youth by 5-2. The Robin Hood Tigers beat Bow by 6-0. And I'm going to say this to you out there who play for Bow FC. I've watched you 2 weeks running now, and I think you've got some decent players, and I think you try to play football the right way. But they came up against a Robin Hood Tigers team, Rush, who I have to say have a striker and a forward who I've heard everybody speak about on this stage, and I had the opportunity to see him for the first time yesterday.
How was he?
I have to say, he's a goal scorer, isn't he?
Well, I haven't seen him, but I've heard about this player, so I'd like to see him in action. I was actually, to be honest, in the first division and in the second division, there's a lot of new players recently arrived. Even yesterday I saw a striker for St. Catherine's. I was very, very impressed, very strong, very fast. So a lot of teams, I think, are taking responsibility of recruiting more players and strengthening the team. So it's good to see. But I'd like to see, you got the table on the screen. I'd like to see where Robin Hood Tigers are in terms of challenging for the...
Well, let's show everybody. The tables are here on the screen for you now, and you can all take a look at it right now. I mean, Tigers, they got themselves a win. They won't be happy with the fact that they're 8 points behind Crusaders, because I'm sure by this stage of the season they would have liked to have been in touch and distance.
I think I'm looking at the table, Seoul Youth, Robin Hood Tigers, Stepney and Ace. I think all four of them would be fighting for that second place. Obviously, Crusaders got that cushion, a big gap. They can afford to lose 2 or 3 games and still be at top of the league. So I think the second position is up for grabs. I think all 4 teams can actually, fight for that position.
I may even add to that. We were due to have Crusaders on the show this week, but due to unforeseen circumstances, they couldn't make it. But they will be here in a couple of weeks' time, and I would have loved to have asked their manager. Turk, if you're out there, I would love to ask you now if you really feel that the 4 teams behind you, whether you think it's all going to be the same next time running the return fixtures, because I got myself thinking that of the 4 teams below Crusaders now, they're not going to get another 4 wins out of them.
No, I think it's Crusaders is theirs for the taking. It's just a matter of going through the motion. I think if once they won a few games in January, they'll have that wrapped up. I think it's second place there, the 4 teams, and I think all 4 teams have a shout. I think they have the credentials and the possibility of claiming the second position now. So it should be interesting next month how things work out.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, Shaquille, I'll ask you. I still think we're talking about it, we're looking at the table, and we're kind of having our own debate here. Join in if you want. Ace, Stepney, Robin Hood Tigers, Seoul Youth. In order for example, for Ace even to think about second, somebody has to go and take points off Crusaders. It's all right taking points off a team below them and maybe off each other, but they've all got to meet Crusaders, and someone's going to have to take points off Crusaders. And methinks that might close the gap slightly up at the top. Or do you think Crusaders are good with their 6-point gap and can only extend on it?
No, I think they can extend it. Their back 4 looks solid. They only can get stronger. For the last couple of weeks, they had big players missing, and I'm pretty sure they'll bring them back, which makes them even more stronger as it is. So Robin Hood, maybe perhaps when they're Crusaders, perhaps with the pace that they can perhaps hit them on the counter attack and maybe beat them. But Ace, I'm not really convinced.
But
Really.
with Ace, Hassan's a very experienced manager. He's been around the block for many years, and I think he will add to the squad. He's got contacts, he's got a massive squad of pool of players he can call up on. He's got experience, and he's shown that in the Summer League. He can be successful, and I think he's just now got taste and understanding of other teams. I think he's clever enough, and I think he will add, and I think he will get a lot of points, and I think he'll be the surprise package come next 7 games in that division.
Like I said, I started off this little section of the show by talking about Robin Hood Tigers, and I saw their striker, the man they call Shaka, and for somebody who I've only seen once, I think this boy can score against anybody. I really do. And I've noticed that Robin Hood Tigers have been quietly recruiting players, being very picky about who they're choosing to add to the mix, and I can see them getting stronger and stronger as the season goes on.
Chaka used to play for Bowman Youth, and he actually more or less single-handedly helped Bowman Youth get promoted. He is a phenomenal player. He's got the pace, he's got the skills, he's got the determination, and he works all around the pitch. Although he plays mainly forward, he does hard working, and he deserves all the credit. So yes, that's one player. But what Robin Hood Tigers lack is that experience. We've seen him on 2 occasions in the winter and the summer. When it comes to the final hurdle, they seem to struggle. They lack the experience. So maybe last 2 seasons' experience may help them, but maybe it's too soon for them, I think.
Or maybe they can recruit some experience.
It's a debate for another week, perhaps. Maybe we'll get the Tigers in here one week to talk about it, but it's not this week, next week, or anytime soon. Coming up after this break, we're going to talk about Prem, Second Division, and everything coming up this weekend. It's all here on the ILFL Soccer Night Show. We'll be back.